Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of the podcast is to share topics and guests that will empower you to grow as a confident leader that will take you, your business, and your life to the next level. Today, my guest is Kathleen Donnelly, Israel. Let me just tell you a little bit about her. Kathleen took care of her husband for the 17 years he had Parkinson's disease. During that time, she listened to and did emotional healing work with many enlightened thought leaders online, and she formulated many of her philosophies on her own. After her husband Ron died, she decided to walk the pilgrimage, the Camino Santiago de Compostela, 500 miles across northern Spain. At the point, she was 69 in 2019. Let's just give her a hand. That is awesome.
Thank you, Victoria.
A lot of us young folks, and I'm not that far away from you, but a lot of you young folks out there wouldn't probably even be able to do the 500 miles on your own. From that, she wrote a book about her adventures, sharing her philosophies with the people she met along the way. And the beauty of that nature in Camino. She also walked the Camino Portuguese, I guess it's a trail, also in 2021, just last year. Today, our theme is going to be transformational breathing. She's a facilitator, a coach, and consultant. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Kathleen Donnelly, Israel. Kathleen, it's gonna be an interesting talk. I can tell right away.
Yes, I'm pretty excited about it.
I always start out the interviews by wanting to give you an easy question, break the ice. And so that easy question is, what part of country are you calling home right now?
I live in San Diego, California. I actually was born here. Both my parents were born here, and my husband was born here too, and his parents. So
love San Diego. I actually spent as a project manager 2 years going back and forth from here in Georgia to San Diego because I worked for UPS, and we bought MBE, which is in San Diego. And so I was out there being a project manager for every 2 weeks. So I love San Diego. Always took a drive down to the beach and the dog park there and there. So explain for the audience what the Camino Santiago de Compostela really is. What is that pilgrimage?
The Camino Santiago de Compostela is a walk across. It's a pilgrimage, and Santiago means Saint James, and Saint James, actually the apostle of Jesus, Saint James, went to Spain. I don't know what it was called back then, Iberia or something, to spread the word of Jesus, and he ended up not doing very well. Nobody wanted to do Jesus back then. And so he went back to Jerusalem and was martyred. And then the story goes that angels took him back to Spain in a boat. and there's something to do with shells. Anyway, so he was buried in Spain, and back in the 1200s, when the Christians were trying to get the Moors out of Spain, Santiago showed up to help them. And then they found his grave, and everybody was all glad. And so they started the pilgrimage to Santiago. And people in Europe actually just go out their front door and walk to Santiago. But us people who come from God knows where go over to, and there are some routes that we travel to Santiago.
And is it just a straight walk, or do you walk a little bit, so many miles a day, and then what do you do in the evening?
So before I started, I walked 5 miles a day, 3 days a week with my friend. And I thought, well, I could walk 5 miles before lunch and 5 miles after lunch, and that would be 10 miles a day. So I kind of did the math, and I thought, well, I need to start at the end of March. And so that's what I did. In the evenings, when you walk however far you're going to walk. Some people, hardly anybody walks as slow as me because I'm old, but however far you're going to walk, then you find an albergue. It's it's a large room with a whole bunch of bunk beds in it. And you stay there the night. And it's really cheap to do that. It's like anywhere from 5 to 12 euros a night.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the places that have a grocery store usually have a kitchen. And so you can make your own food. And the places that don't have a grocery store or a restaurant provide the food. So it's really, everybody knows their own situation, and they know what's available in their town, and they provide what is not available.
That's so interesting. So how did you find out about this?
While I was on the internet a lot, I went on Facebook a lot too. And so my girlfriend Judy did the Camino back in 2013. And that's how I found out about it. And I just thought she was doing something very special by walking the Camino. She had pictures on Facebook of, her blisters on her feet, and her feet were bleeding, and she was walking anyway. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is very special. I just felt like she was doing something that was very important to her. And I decided that I wanted to do that too. Me and Judy used to walk to school every morning. I would walk to her house, and then the two of us would walk to school in high school.
Oh my gosh.
And so we were both walkers, I guess. And so I just decided when Ron was done with his illness that I would go to the Camino.
My goodness.
Because, before he got sick, I thought we would be riding our bicycles across France in our old age. I thought we were he was an athlete. He was a triathlete. And when he got sick, I was like, well, I guess we're not going to do that, And so I had to develop a new dream for the future.
So good. Developing a new dream.
Yeah. Thank you, Judy.
I know. And a friend all those years too, to be able to do it with. That's just awesome. So,
yeah, well, she did it by herself and I did it by myself.
Oh, so she didn't come back and do it again.
No, nobody. I asked people, you want to go? You want to go? And nobody could go. Well, Ron was gone and I had plenty of time.
Yeah.
So,
so how many days did it actually take you to walk that? Was it 10 miles a day each time or no?
In the beginning, I did the 10 miles a day, probably like 13K a day. And then there came a point where I got buff and I could walk further, and I got my 10 miles down before lunch. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I need to keep walking. I can't stop at noon. The albergues don't even open till like 2:00.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point I kept walking, and so then I was doing like maybe 15K a day. And
Wow. And you didn't have the blisters and such that
I did not.
So you didn't have new shoes.
I did have new shoes, but I wear negative ion clothing.
Mm-hmm.
They emit negative ions, and I'm pretty sure that's what kept me. My feet were surrounded by negative ions all the time as I was walking. So.
Wow. You have to explain to me. I don't know what negative ion clothing is.
Yeah, I bought it. Actually, I bought it for Ron when he was sick,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to cure him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's quite pricey, actually. And I went into debt to buy it, and then he didn't want to wear it. He wouldn't wear it. He actually didn't want me to be his healer. He wanted me to be his caregiver. So he wanted me to accept him the way he was, not keep trying to change him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to just kind of give up on healing Ron. So I was really glad that I bought it, because I wasn't feeling very good either. I teach breathing, and I usually kneel on the floor next to my client who's on a little mat. And for about 3 years, I'd been having to scoot around on my butt because I had arthritis in my knees.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought the negative ion clothes, and I bought them for me too, because I didn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wearing them. I wore everything. I mean, they told me if you want to cure a serious illness, you have to wear a lot. So I wore all kinds of negative ion clothes. And I bought them on a Tuesday, and by Sunday I could actually kneel. Because usually, like in the Catholics, we go into church and we take a little kneel, and then we get into the pew. And I hadn't been able to kneel in 3 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
I went to do my little bunny dip, genuflect to go in the pew, and I went all the way down to the ground, and I was like, oh my. So I got the flexibility back, but I still had the pain. And then in 3 weeks, the pain was gone, and I don't have arthritis anymore.
Awesome.
I know. So,
and that's a bonus, y'all, because we weren't even going to talk about that. And look, God directed us to that. That's awesome.
Well, and it's so pricey. Everybody just signs up so you can get 20% off, So if anybody wants any, I can tell you how to get them, but you have to they're pricey, I must say.
Well, anybody that pays $100 for a purse or something, maybe they could do something for their health, huh?
I guess so. I mean, the socks that I wore on the Camino were $65 a pair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but the support hose, when you have any kind of knee surgery or whatever, those things are pretty pricey too. I think whenever I did vein stuff, those were $100.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then these are cheap, right?
I love it. All right, let's get back to the Camino.
Oh, okay. But anyway, that's why I didn't get, I'm pretty sure that's why I didn't get any blisters at all.
It sounds that way.
Yeah.
So you were by yourself.
I was, me and my angels. I have 4 angels that I know personally.
Mm-hmm.
And they came with me, and I didn't feel like I was alone at all, ever.
So you weren't afraid?
No, I was not afraid. The one thing I was afraid of was falling, because after Ron died, my son is a paramedic, and he said, okay, Mom, you're going to have a good life now. Don't fall. Because a paramedic, he picks people up off the floor, right?
Older people's bones are much more fragile.
So I was very careful not to fall. So, I mean, that was the only thing that really kind of scared me. But I think about being scared or worrying. The way I think about it is worry is making up a sad story and then believing in it.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. It's not real at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to make up good stories and live into them. If
Yeah.
something bad happens, then, you need to shore up your vibration and make good things happen again.
Yeah, that positivity changes everything.
Absolutely.
So as you were walking, kind of describe what you saw on that journey, though, and going from town to town, through whatever. I'm just trying to imagine pastures or what was it?
Yeah, they have a path, and the path goes over many kinds of roads or paths. So on the Camino, there's yellow arrows, and you're always looking around for the yellow arrows, and they point you in the right direction. And then you take that path, whether it's a sidewalk or a country road or, freeway, whatever, because it's when they resurrected the Camino after so many years, I forget what year it was, like the 70s or something, I don't know. And they found the original path, and it was mostly available, but they had actually built some freeways over part of it. And so they had to make some detours. And also, actually, I walked on the freeway a few times, which was pretty scary.
Yes.
But yeah, walking out of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, it's a little town, and they have like cement streets. And I walked out into the country, and the road was dirt.
Yeah.
And it went through farms. And actually, when I got there, it was snowing on the Pyrenees. And so it was against the law to go across the Pyrenees. You had to go around the Pyrenees. And so, they didn't want to go up and save anybody. So if you went up there, you were on your own because, it was dangerous.
Yeah.
And so I walked around, and I had to go. The first night I stayed in Saint-Jean, which was at the Bellari, which I really recommend to stay there the first night. It's so lovely. And then I walked around the Pyrenees, and I walked to Valcarlos. And I just remember walking through the mountains. I mean, I couldn't go over the mountains, so you had to go around the bottom of the mountains, but you had to go over them too. So I felt like I was walking at the bottom, and then this mountain would come up, and you would have to go way up over the top and down, and then you'd walk a little ways further and up. But it was just like all the way up and down the whole way to Valcarlos. But when I was in between the mountains, it was so lovely. You would have, it was steep, and be walking along, and there would be sheep, down in a pasture, steep pasture right next to us, with their little bells tinkling. And then just on both, it was like the mountains were so close to each other. I felt like I was in a green room.
Wow.
And with the canopy above of the tall trees, and then the bushes on the sides and the grass, it was just, and it was April. So, March, the end of March, the beginning of April. And so there was rain. So it was lush and lovely. Really.
Oh, wow. So you walked in the rain too, right?
I did walk in the rain, and it was so funny. I bought these boots that were waterproof. I bought Gore-Tex Basque boots, and they were not waterproof. My feet got totally wet. And now I think of it, I'm really glad that happened, because if you have waterproof boots, they don't breathe, and then you could get blisters more easily.
Yep.
With
Very
waterproof boots. So I don't recommend waterproof boots, but I bought them especially because they were waterproof. And
then
I guess I got lucky.
So did you fly over to Spain, or Where did
Yeah,
you start this?
So I flew into Paris.
Mhm.
Actually, the French way is the one I walked from France across northern Spain. And so I started, I flew into Paris and I stayed there for a week being a tourist. It was so much fun. And because I didn't want to have jet lag when I started.
Very, very good idea.
And then I flew to Biarritz from Paris, and I took a train from Biarritz to Saint-Jean, and that's where I started.
Awesome. So planes, trains, and walking on your feet.
Yeah, and it was so nice back before COVID to do all that, because last year when I went, it wasn't fun at all.
No. So I think part of what made it fun in that previous year was the people that you met along the way. Talk about them a little bit.
Oh my gosh. The first night in Valcarlos, I finally got to the place where I was supposed to be, and I kept showing people my book. I had a book telling me where to go, showed them my book and had them point, go over there, and finally I got to the place, and it was like down a cliff. You walk along this cliff and go into this room, and that was the albergue. And there was a stairway and a rail. It wasn't dangerous, but anyway, I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And so I went in there, and there was a bunk available, and they told the people in there told me, "Okay, go up to the grocery store and tell them you're here." And so I thought I had to pay the lady at the grocery store, and she said, "No, I'll come down and get your money later," when she was done being a grocery lady. So she came down later and took our money. But I was very glad that I got a lower bunk, because, old ladies don't really like to climb up on the high bunk, or I don't anyway. And
because you don't want to fall.
Yeah, right. And also I met some people there. So when I got back from the grocery store, I walked in, and these people were sitting at a table drinking wine. And a German guy told me, "My friend here is very sad." And I said, "Oh, why are you sad?" And he told me that 3 of his friends had died in rapid succession, and he was so sad he couldn't do his life anymore. And that's why he had come to the Camino. And so I just sat down next to him, and I said, "Well, my husband died in August, and my mother died in November. And so I'm sad too." So he said, "Oh, we have something in common." And we just became really good friends. And he happened to be from LA. And yeah, so and I just met so many people. Shirley was there cooking. There was a stove, and when I went up to the grocery store, I bought a bunch of groceries so I could eat stuff. And I always so I remember there was one girl, she must have been 18 years old, and she saw me, and she was probably thinking, "Oh no, we're not going to have any fun. We have an old lady here." And so she actually told me, "I think you'd be more comfortable up in town there's a hotel up there." And I said, "No, I'm on a low budget too, and the albergue is going to be fine for me." And so it was really kind of cute that I got to be who I was, and they got to be who they were. And in the evening, I actually went to bed and let them. They were up drinking all night. I don't know where they got all those bottles of wine. I don't know, because the grocery store closed. So yeah, I don't know how they did that.
And you're not packing a bunch of bottles, right?
No, you try. That's the thing, the science of keeping your pack light, so you don't have to carry very much. So you can actually enjoy the Camino. A lot of people send their pack ahead. Like if you're at an albergue, you can they have all these envelopes, and you can like stick €5 in it and call the number on the envelope, and they will come and get your pack and take it to wherever you tell them to take it.
Oh, so you have nothing to carry.
No, yeah, but I decided I wanted to carry my pack the whole way, but I got sick. And so when I was sick, I couldn't carry my pack. So I transported my pack while I was sick.
But you still went walking.
I did. I did have to see, I was on the Camino for 66 days.
Oh my goodness.
That's a long time. And I had set up days to be sick because you read the books, people get sick on the Camino. And I took Holy Week off. So I was able to stay in the town and become one of the church ladies in the town.
Oh, nice.
And I know I went to all the services, and I sat with the widows. I figured they were widows. They were alone and not young. And they started smiling at me like they recognized me and stuff. It was really lovely.
Yeah.
And there's amazing things that happen during Holy Week on the Camino. Oh my gosh.
Really?
They, oh my gosh. They have drummers, and they're wearing these cone-shaped hats. They look like a dunce cap, cone-shaped hats, and they could be either black or purple. And they've got a mask on. So they've got a place to see out, screened something to see out, and they're drumming. And it's like, there's like 100 of them.
Wow.
Or, I don't know how many, but, and we would take processions through the town, and the drummers would be drumming.
So cool. And that was unexpected. You didn't realize
it was. Oh my gosh. I met this lady from South Korea, and she was really interested in my faith. And she showed me her ears, and she had little cross earrings on, and she wanted to show me that she was interested in Christianity. And so we went to that, to the procession together. And after I saw what was going on, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't happen in my town.
Not in San Diego.
This is really special. Yeah, it was so special. And oh my gosh, it's amazing. I write all about it in my book. I don't know if I should tell you more.
No, don't give it all. Well, it's teaser. So the last main question I have is, tell our audience what you learned on the Camino, and when, if any time, you might be going back.
Right. So I'm trying to think of what I learned on the Camino. I learned to take care of myself. I went straight from my mother's house to my husband's house. I never was alone. And so I got to make things happen over there in Spain. I had to make things happen. I was on my own. Yeah. And I think that basically I learned to take care of myself. And yes, I'm going in April again. I'm going to do the Camino del Norte, which is along the northern coast of Spain. So I don't know if that's the Baltic Sea, or I'm going to have to look at a map and see what is up there, but it's something up on north of Spain. So I guess maybe it's just the Atlantic, huh?
Yeah, it could be just the Atlantic.
Because France is up there. So it'd be straight out from France would be whatever. Yeah, I think it's the Atlantic. Yeah, pretty much.
That should be beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I'm a person that loves the ocean.
Me too.
So I think I will enjoy that. And actually, my friend Aniva said she would go with me. So we'll see if she does.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be complaining to Aniva. No. She was one of my breathing clients.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah. So that you both can enjoy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have now got to the point where we do rapid fire questions. And so this is just whatever comes to the top of your mind. I'll give you a word or a phrase, and just tell me what you think or what you would respond to this.
Okay.
You just actually answered the next question, but I'm going to give it in another way. Outside of going on a pilgrimage, what would be the next destination that you would like to visit?
Okay, well, my next destination is actually, I'm going to try cross-country skiing in Vermont in February.
Oh my goodness.
I never did that, and I always wanted to do it. And I think I'm not going to get any younger. So I think this is it. This is as young as I'm going to be ever.
Well, and you have the breathing down. You need that for that. And you're already
good.
buff.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym and do some kind of Nordic track thing or something.
Yeah, you need to get your arms
Yeah.
so they don't turn to rubber. I had a good friend that she loved cross country skiing.
Mm.
What was the best part of writing your book?
The best part of writing my book was remembering everything. It was such a joy to write. I had to do research. You know, I had to look up all the Facebook pages to get my writing off of there. And my kids made a WhatsApp for me, and I told them all the gory details. So, and then all the pictures. So, yeah, it was wonderful. The whole thing.
So this next pilgrimage that you go on, would you journal or would you just record your experience, I guess?
Yeah, I was too tired to journal. I came into the albergue and I just flopped. I was like,
I'd be right there with you. Yes.
So no, the Facebook is like a journal. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. That video is, picture tells 1,000 words, and it does inspire and evoke all of those emotions you felt when you were there the first time.
Yes.
How do you stay focused? You and I are in our 60s. So how do you stay focused now?
I write lists, and I have to make, I don't make a list a lot of times. And when I do make a list, I feel so happy when I get things done. I just make little check marks, and that's how I keep focused, if I do keep focused.
Yep. It's those little wins you get through the day.
Yeah.
It's a difference. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered for the art of forgiveness. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about it, but I just feel like, I've gotten to the point where I don't even think forgiveness is necessary anymore, because I'm taking responsibility for attracting in anything in my life that isn't nice. Because I realize I need to keep my vibration high so I can bring in the good stuff. And I believe that I won't bring in any bad stuff if I keep my vibration high. So in that way, I can take responsibility for anything that comes in.
Awesome. The last one can kind of tie everything together. When I say transformation, what do you think of?
Well, transformational breathing, but we can transform. And I just, when I think of transformation, I think of raising my vibration so that I can bring in good things into my life, and also so I can be close enough to God to hear God. I mean, that's been the struggle, right?
Yeah.
People talk about hearing God, and I think we can't hear God if we don't have a high vibration. So that's my goal, I guess, to raise my vibration.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that everyone that's watching this can go ahead and take a screenshot to get.
Oh, can I show my book?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
This is my book, Wisdom on the Camino, a spiritual journey, sharing forgiveness and possibilities to inspire the rest of your life. Kathleen Donnelly, Israel.
Awesome. And we're going to show you how to get that book in a moment. So as we see here, Kathleen Donnelly, Israel, she has just mentioned what her book is. In the gift, you can access a gallery of pictures from her pilgrimage, and she'll talk about that in a minute. For those that are listening in and not seeing this, I will give you the information for her website so that you can go to her website. It's www.wisdom, WISDOM, on the Camino, CAMINO. So wisdomonthecamino.com is her website. Please go to that to check it out. You can email her at Kathleen@wisdomonthecamino.com. And here we have her link to, you can go to Amazon to purchase her book. So there's the link here, but you can search it by her name, Kathleen Donnelly, Israel, to find her book. Again, Kathleen, why don't you talk about exactly what this pilgrimage pictures or how they can get that?
Yeah, there's a page in the beginning of the book. It says, read this first, and then it lets you access the pictures. Everybody told me you should share your pictures. And I thought, well, if I am going to share my pictures, then the book will be too expensive for people. And so that's what I just thought. So if you go into the book and it just tells you to go to this website and then you opt in, and you have to, how they do nowadays is you have to opt in and then they send you an email and then you opt in again. So I'm sorry you have to do that, but you should see what people do if you don't do that. It's like you get people sending you things that are very large and not fun to deal with.
Well, y'all are going to want to get her book to hear the full story about her journey, and then go ahead and take advantage of getting those photos of her journey. Maybe that's going to inspire you to want to take that pilgrimage as well. She can be found on Facebook or Instagram and LinkedIn. Again, just by searching her name, we'll get you there. So Kathleen Donnelly, Donnelly, Israel is Israel. So check out her Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Check out her website, wisdomonthecamino.com. Kathleen, it has been a true pleasure. I have enjoyed our conversation. I could talk all day long about you and what you've done. And I, like you, I went from mother to husband, and my motto has always been to just take on the opportunities that come your way. And that's what you have done. At 69, you are living large, and that's what we love.
Yes. Thank you, God.
Yes, ma'am.
I've enjoyed talking to you too, Victoria.
So we will definitely have to try this again to hear about that northern trip. I definitely will call you back in after April to talk about that.
All right.
In the meantime, I just want to thank everybody for listening in, and be sure to go to Kathleen's Facebook page and write some comments about what you thought of this podcast and ask her any questions. Go to her website, check it out, and definitely go get that book. And as always, life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and we will talk to you soon. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nettling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.